Hey guys, how's it going? So I'm out here early this morning. I want to get some projects done before the heat sets in. It's supposed to be close to 105 degrees today. It's already pretty warm out here and it feels kind of muggy. We're expecting like 60, I think it was 61 mile/hour winds this evening, which I'm not looking that forward to. But it's a great morning to get out here, take care of the flower alley pots, which are massively overgrown. I trimmed them that one time. Can't even remember when that was. June probably sometime. And they are just, they're horribly overgrown and need some attention. I want to get some hostas groomed up. Things are just, they're looking so tired right now. It has been over 100 degrees for the last like 2 or 3 weeks with wind and no rain. So it's been, well, we haven't had rain since like the beginning of June, I think it's been now, which is typical for us. But it makes everything look kind of tired and dusty, really. Like everything needs a good shower just to knock all the dust off that has been blowing around. So anyway, I've been up since 4:45 a.m. this morning. Benjamin woke me up with this sweet little, "Hey mama," from the side of my bed. First time ever that he's gotten out of bed and come to our room. So anyway, kind of a sweet start to the day. And here's Russell. Hey bud. Hey. How you doing? Good to see you, buddy. Whoa. Whoa. Okay, so look at that first container. Holy moly. The potato vine is just like going nuts on the ground. You know, some of the things Super Beana needs to just be cut back because it's kind of flushed out of bloom. I mean, a lot of these plants are doing great. The sunflower, it went through one of our windstorms. It had the biggest part of it break right out of the center, which kind of made the pot look odd, kind of sad. Super Bells I'm about to write off for good. But everything is just like big, really big. I think these pots are 14-inch diameter, which is way too small to be putting these types of plants in, honestly. I was thinking we're gonna do some simple arrangements, 3 plants, maybe 4. And you know, I typically like to pack things in and they are like kind of gorgeous, especially after just a little bit of maintenance and allow them like a week to flush back. But I could have just put one of these plants because all of these varieties that I used, they are huge. They're big performers and really they don't need to be put with a whole lot of other things in order to really create a show. So I need to go grab my Felcos and my cart and then we're just gonna get after this. I think we're gonna need the big one today. I'm gonna start with this one and work my way down the line there. I will be cleaning up this climbing rose as well. I actually meant to remove this one because I don't love the color. I was gonna rehome it, which I probably still will, but it's getting a little bit wild. You can see here, it's kind of competing with the space that this container wants. I'm also gonna be giving these a mid-season feed, or late season I should say now. So I typically always add a continuous release plant food in when I plant my containers. I mix it into the soil. That way, in case we miss a weekly fertilizing or whatever the case may be, in case they need some extra nutrients, I know they have it on board. But this lasts for about 6 to 8 weeks, which, you know, it's been longer than that. And we have not missed a weekly fertilizing yet, but I think this is heat activated, which we have plenty of right now, plenty of heat. So I think if I give them a little bit of an extra boost, these plants will like recuperate faster from their trim today and hopefully push a lot more bloom. And many of these plants, minus the, let me see, the potato vine and the Coleus, pretty much everything else can handle a fairly light frost or even a hard frost like the Supertunias. And I don't know if I have any lobularia in here. No, I don't think so, but the Supertunias and Super Bells are such tough plants that a lot of these will last well into the fall. So here we go. First one is done. I just wanted to stop quick and just show you kind of what I'm expecting to do to all of these containers. Now I need to rake up the ground a little bit. Those are spent rose petals, but I trimmed everything up off the ground. I trimmed a little bit from around the Angelonia to give it a little bit more space. So, I mean, the plants look really healthy and they look really good, but they were like too healthy and starting just to go everywhere. So I'm hoping that that just reinvigorates the container. And I'll try to be better about maintenance going forward because with all the heat, this potato vine grows like crazy. So it's likely I'll have to do another trim in about a week. Now this one. Halfway done. Look at him. Every time I get off of this kneeling pad, he's on it. Anyway, I'm getting ready to start this container. Look what I found. Aphids. See all of those? They are like covering this calendula, which that's been my experience in the past with calendula. It's kind of a host plant. So since this is so covered, I'm gonna go ahead and treat it today, and I'll show you later when I'm done with all of them, what I'm gonna spray on it. But since it's really covered, I'm gonna go ahead and cut the bulk of the plant back instead of just deadheading, which will actually be a lot quicker. Also, on this container with the Coleus, earwig damage. So I'm gonna be also baiting for earwigs today. Finding all sorts of goodies out here. See what I mean when I say that really these containers could have just had one plant in them. That is one Gomphrena, one truffle of pink, and there is an alternanthera in there called Plum Dandy, which you can see peeking out on the side here. I guess that kind of held its own there. We've got a Supertunia honey, and there is a Super Bells in there, which I've totally given up hope on. But the Supertunia honey needs to be cut back very badly, and it should recoup a little bit, but honestly, I mean, when you have something this big in the container, you really don't need anything underneath it. Same with this. So the Gaillardia heated up yellow, amazing beast of a plant. A little bit water tender, so keep that in mind. It does need a little bit of extra water than other plants. It's kind of like a sweet potato vine to me. And then we've got the Wicked Witch Coleus, which amazing in the full sun, you guys, and no earwig damage on this one. This has been the stellar Coleus for me this year over Golden Dreams, which Golden Dreams did so well for me last year. So really on this container here, all I'm going to be trimming up is the Super Bells. And this is what happens to Super Bells every time I put them in with a mixed container. If they're by themselves, I can get away with it. Otherwise, they just turn yellow. They just need less water than everything else. So they just aren't super compatible with other plants for me anyway. They're all done. Some of them look way better. Some of them need a chance to come back a little bit. But honestly, like even this Super Bells container, it was so yellowed on the ends that I was able to cut it back down to more green leaves, and it looks better even though it doesn't have as many blooms. So now I need to treat a couple of things, starting with this Coleus right here that I already showed you, that has what I think is earwig damage. That's the most typical thing that does this here. You know, you might think it's slugs, but we are just so dry. We don't deal with slugs very badly. Either way, this is what I use, and it takes care of a plethora of issues. So whether it be slugs, snails, earwigs, whatever, the Bug and Slug Killer is what I like to treat with. So I will just sprinkle this around in the base of the container, and that should take care of it. Now, I don't have to do these because these don't really have, I'm not noticing damage on these. These look just as fresh as can be, which I'm thankful for. And it does say that this is effective to up to 4 weeks, which, you know, if you get a ton of rainfall, it may not last as long, but it should last for that long for us, for sure. And this contains, the active ingredients are iron, phosphate, and spinosad. It is for organic gardening, so I never feel bad about using it. I will even use this occasionally, like in my vegetable garden area. I didn't have to this year, but yeah, I didn't have to break this out very much, which I'm so thankful for. I mean, usually come this time of year is when we really start seeing the issues, like I'm seeing more aphid issues and spider mites, which we'll be dealing with later this week. For the aphids, I usually use Rose RX. I really like that one, and it's kind of a three-prong. I think it's a miticide, insecticide, and fungicide, so it takes care of so many different things. But since I'm out of it, I'm going to use this tomato and vegetable spray right here. I didn't really want to mix anything up, so this is a ready-to-use bottle. And this is sulfur and pyrethrins, and it should nip the aphids right in the bud. And here is our offender right here. So I cut the calendula back quite a ways to where most of the affected part of the plant is gone, but there's still a little bit in there. And I want to make sure to get in and get the soil around the area as well, because aphids just, they tend to fall and they'll climb right back up. So just give it a good dousing here. I also noticed a few aphids on the Super Tunia honey that's in this container. So I'm gonna give this a little spray as well. Gotta make sure to get the undersides of the leaves, get as much of the plant as you can and around it. Look at this, you guys. I am already like drenched in sweat and it's not even 8 o'clock yet. Ah, my goodness. There are other things that people like to do for aphids, you know, like using a cold blast of water from the hose. I don't think that's effective at all. All it does, excuse me, is knock the aphids off the plant and then they can just crawl back up. Some people do ladybugs, which I will do occasionally in the spring if I'm having a problem early on. They're typically only for sale for about a month at the garden center, usually like April, mid-April to maybe mid-May if they stay in stock. So if I'm seeing a problem, I'll release ladybugs. Otherwise, if you release them and there's no problem in your garden, they'll just fly away looking for food. So you do want to make sure that there's an issue going on, but I can't get my hands on ladybugs this time of year typically. So I just go straight for the spray, and I try to keep it as benign of a spray as possible. I mean, keep in mind that even an organic spray like this is kind of a broad spectrum. And so you want to be careful as to when you're spraying it. Like, I don't really find a problem right now with what I'm spraying it on because there's no flowers left for the honeybees to feed on. So it's kind of a good time for that. But you want to make sure that if there are flowers present, that you're spraying like at dusk when the honeybees have gone to bed for the night. That way it takes care of the aphids that are on the plant, but it won't harm the honeybees, etc. So anyway, this project is done for now. I'm guessing that we'll want to do an update here maybe a week or two just to show you how they've rebounded from their treatment today. And I'll go slowly real quick and just show you each pot before I move on to the next thing, which I think all I'm going to tackle. I'm not going to go around do hostas today. I just have the 4 barn containers where our sweet potato vines have just gone crazy. I need to cut them back a little bit. So starting with the first one, trimmed it up off the ground. And I know that sometimes it looks like it's super harsh doing this kind of thing, and it really feels almost counterproductive, but it really does benefit the plant. Trust me, you guys. I mean, typically we're doing this in July, not in mid-August like I am right now, but you know, some years it just happens like that, but everything's looking pretty good. This one, the Superbena, got trimmed way up, and actually it unearthed the Diamond Mountain Euphorbia because the Superbena had grown around the Angelonia and was completely entangled in the Euphorbia. So that's really exciting that we can see that now. And isn't that Angelonia gorgeous? It's so beautiful with the Coleus. This one even looks better, even though the plant is missing a big section in the middle. And you can see, like, let me get close. You can see where it was. There was this, and then there was a branch right here that peeled off. And I was thankful that this one healed because that's the other bigger portion of the sunflower. But the lemon coral's doing great, the Coleus is doing great. This one got a major haircut. It's looking like a little, I don't even know what that looks like. It looks kind of funny. I'm really hopeful for that one. And then this one needed a major haircut as well. The Red Hawk Ipomea there in the front had really gotten big and bulky. It was covering the double amber super bells that was there. I did trim down the Coleus a little bit because it had, you know, a little bit more damage toward the top. Did break a branch off right there when I was putting in the bug and slug killer, which is a bummer. And then the osteospermum here was also like super big. It was trailing over the side. So this one, it just looks better to have the stuff up off the ground, I think. This one here, Diamond Snow Euphorbia, just rocking. Biden's looks good. I deadheaded that one pretty hard. The Lemon Slice Super Bells, you can see some of the blooms right there. But I also thought that one looked pretty yellow, so I took the canopy down to where it was like more green. Calendula's cut back. This one right here, this is a snowstorm, snow globe, snowstorm. I don't know, one of those two words, Bacopa or Sudora. And typically in the heat, they kind of peter out. This one was huge, but it was very yellow on the ends. So trimmed it back to where it looks a little bit better. I mean, it seems very like robust. It was very thick. And then that kind of helped the Pentas show, which this Buddleia, this is a Miss Violet Buddleia, it's like coming through the fence. It's coming after this pot, but the Pentas is looking good. And the raspberry, is it Blast, Raspberry Blast, or Raspberry Rush? I don't know. Anyway, we've been spraying the Supertunias and Superbells for budworms every week. Even when we preventatively spray, we still get a little bit of damage. But you can imagine what this would look like right now had we not been spraying. It would have no flowers on it at all. This one right here, cut back the Superbells. It was a double blue, and then the Superbina, which was a light blue, and it unearthed the Dichondra, which I forgot was there. And that was growing really well. It was already growing all the way to the ground. The Skyrocket Pennisetum looks awesome. Trimmed up the Supertunia Honey. Left the glorious Gomphrena that's stinky. Just one, and I can smell it. I don't know if you guys have the same experience as me, but boy, whew. Thank goodness it's pretty. And then last container, trimmed up the Superbells, which was a Dreamsicle. Trimmed it back to where it looked more green, and then the other two plants are beastly. I mean, this one Gaillardia goes all the way around. Look at this. You get you a side view here. Look at that. That is such a beast. And even when it has spent blooms, the spent blooms look cool. I mean, these are the most aged. This is kind of in between, and then of course in flowering stage. And they just keep pushing blooms, and they look cool. And I don't feel like I need to deadhead them. In fact, nothing I used in these containers needs to be deadheaded in order for them to keep blooming, which is the beautiful part about these types of plants. Okay, so now we're gonna head to the barn, finish up with the 4 big potato vines. I was hoping to get to these before they were in the sun, but you can see what I'm talking about with these potato vines. These are the Sweet Caroline Sweetheart Lime, and I like the fact that they're not touching the ground yet. Usually they would be if it was another variety. This is typically a more compact variety, but you can see how they've just like beasted over the other plants, and they're piling up on the boxwood spirals. Like, that's not a good thing to let go for a long time. And the boxwood spirals need a trimming too, but it's just too hot, and I might take down any like really wild branches, but I can't trim them too hard, otherwise they may scorch. So my goal today is really just to kind of shape these down a little bit. I don't care so much about this because honestly, I haven't kept up on it enough, and if I were to unearth what's underneath them, it's not pretty. It's not worth it this late in the season. So I'll just trim them down, unearth the boxwoods. Hopefully it looks okay. Yeah, okay, here we go. Well, that looks better. Boy, I feel like that plant can breathe now. And I didn't really have to cut that much. There were just a few like really strong branches that were coming up. And then I trimmed it up just slightly just to kind of give it a little bit of shape. And I'll do a harder prune later on, like probably early fall once the temperatures have cooled a little bit. But oh boy, that makes me happy right there. So much better. Like, look at that one. Look at that mess compared to, so nice. From the front, you can't tell as much, which is totally fine. But if you look at them from the side, you can tell that they now have breathing room in front, all the way around the base of the shrub. Oh, that makes me feel better. That was one of those things that was just weighing on me. I kept looking at it. Feels good to get it done. And that is going to be it for this morning's projects. Super happy to have all of those things done, and we'll probably give you an update on Flower Alley, hopefully in a couple weeks, maybe in the next month or so at least, to show you how they rebounded. And honestly, like, if I would have kept up on the pruning, they would have been much better all along, or if I would have put fewer plants in a container. So there's always something to take away in terms of learning from projects like this, because, you know, we thought, well, let's just do smaller containers, something more I don't know, just something smaller and more manageable, and let's just use fewer plants, which me using 3 or 4 plants is using way fewer plants than I normally do. But when you're using plants like the ones we use, they just get so big, and so you really get to see how things play together, how they cooperate in containers, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And it's just a good thing to learn from year to year. And then also, if you keep an eye out a little bit more frequently for insects, then you can catch things like aphids and earwigs and things like that before it becomes a big issue. And thankfully it hadn't become a huge issue yet. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you're having a great day, and we'll see you in the next one.